Game preview, Texans at Colts. Let's go, John Harris. It is the 47th meeting between Houston and the Horseshoe, and the all-time series, not good. 13, 32, and 1. I will not rest. I will not have peace until the Texans have the edge in the series, and that could take a while. Even with the recent success, you've won 3 in a row against Indy. DeMeco Ryans 3-1 against the Horseshoe. It is a beautiful thing, but you've got to find a way to keep this thing going, this positive momentum in a series that was once owned by the Colts, and they still own the all-time record.
They will, and they will for a little bit, but we've gotten to even with the Titans, and we own it against the Jaguars.
Yes.
So... okay.
Progress.
We have one more wall to climb, and that's going to be tough because of all the years initially that Peyton Manning was there, et cetera, and those years built up your hate for the Colts. But like you said, 3 in a row. Swept them last year, won the last game of 2023. You've also won 3 straight at Lucas Oil, starting with Davis Mills, comeback, the 32-31 game in 22, and then obviously Week 18 in 2023 that led to Week 1 in 2024. So that building used to be a house of horrors.
Right.
But it's a place where the Texans have gone in and landed some haymakers and come out of there with wins.
And you might be able to rename this Nico Collins Stadium if the trend continues. Back-to-back great games by Nico Collins in that building, as that takes us to Modelo matchups of the game. And I know you've got a good one.
Yep. Nico versus Sauce, man. It is the matchup, I think, in this game. Yeah, we can talk about the trenches, and it's going to be big in the trenches. There's no question about that. But the Colts went out and got Sauce Gardner because they couldn't cover big physical wide receivers with anybody they had. Even Charvarius Ward. They signed Charvarius Ward in the offseason, but he was hurt for a while. Now he's back. But they couldn't cover anybody on the outside, in particular Nico Collins. And Nico has lit them up. Now, Nico didn't play in the Week 8 game here. So the last time he played the Colts, it was those 2 back-to-back regular season games in Lucas Oil, and he went off. And the Colts just couldn't cover him. That's why they went and got Sauce. Let's be honest. Yeah, there are going to be some great receivers that the Colts are going to face, but they got to face 12 twice a year. Texans faced the Jets, Sauce's former team, twice, but Nico in the first contest only played 3 plays, and then he missed 2024's game because he was dealing with a hamstring that hurt against Buffalo last year. So they haven't faced one another, but this is the kind of game that you watch those two because it's going to be a physical battle. That is going to be a football war with those two because Nico likes to get physical, not so much in his route running and all that, but after he catches the ball. Sauce wants to grab and hold and clutch and pull and do whatever. That's just the way he plays because he's that physical. So that battle, that Modelo matchup right there between Nico and Sauce is going to be worth the price of admission.
All right, Colts offense, number 1 scoring offense in the league. Now, they've dropped down a bit in recent weeks. Mm-hmm. They're 8-3 now. But the low water mark in a win is 29 points. Mm-hmm. They usually get well over 30.
Right.
In the losses, the high water mark is 20. So when obviously they have trouble scoring, they have trouble winning. Big surprise. The turnover factor with Daniel Jones in New York was a big problem, obviously. He's fumbled the ball 8 times. He's lost 3. But 8 fumbles have been on the ground, available to whoever could recover them. So the Texans have to obviously get after Jonathan Taylor. So that's a big matchup. Front 7 versus Jonathan Taylor. Right. And then you can go after Daniel Jones. Take it as it comes.
Absolutely. And you say front 7, and I agree with you. But I think it's got to be all 11 when 28 has the ball. It's got to be everybody arriving at the ball. I mean, he's had 964 yards in 8 games against us. He had his best game against us, ironically, in the Week 18 game in 2023. We're at 188 yards. And they were gashing us in the third quarter. And it wasn't until he went out with an ankle injury where he really got slowed after that. But he's had 4 games, I think it is, of 30-plus carries against us, and I think that's what it's going to take. So that's a massive matchup for all 11 arriving at the ball when he has it and really limiting his impact on this game. You can't miss a run fit. You can't be out of your gap because we've seen it. You've called it. He can take it 80 to the house in a blink. He's got that kind of vision and ability, and you got to wrap him up. That's huge. If I'm a Texans coach, as soon as I start preparing for the Colts and I get over to fumbles and I see that number 8 on Daniel Jones, my first note is, look, beat them up front, get to the quarterback, but chop at the ball. get your hands on his hands, and the ball will come out. Make sure it's not just the sack. Now, you got to ensure the sack.
Right.
But make sure it's a little bit more, because if you can get your hands on his wrist, his elbow, whatever, you've got a good opportunity to knock the ball out like the Steelers did to him.
Yeah, he's the second leading rusher on the team, Daniel Jones, but it's under 200 yards. He hasn't been going crazy running the football. It's Jonathan Taylor and really nobody else with any kind of volume, so that'll be interesting. Mattress Firm, sleeper of the game. Mattress Firm, the official sleep partner of the Houston Texans. Who do you have?
Well, I know you're going on defense, so that means I'm going on offense. And I think, I'm talking sleeper, I think Jalen Noel.
Okay.
Because I'm going to steal some special teams too, because I think special teams has got to have a game.
Yeah.
They've got to have a Frank Ross-like special teams studly game.
Going up against his former employer.
That's right. We haven't had one in a while. And I think it's time for that. We can't allow a punt return for a touchdown. We cannot fumble the ball on a kickoff return. We cannot give up a 98-yard kickoff return. If we are controlling the game and we give up a big return, it can flip the game. We cannot allow that to happen. So special teams got to be big. But for me, I think getting Jalen Noel involved offensively, Christian Kirk stepped up, made some big plays last week against the Bills. I think Jalen, getting him the ball on certain opportunities, his ability to get down the field. When I see Josh Downs, I think of Jalen Noel. And Downs just continued to get more opportunities, and he's become a star for them. So my sleeper of the game is going to end up being Jalen Noel.
I love it because the way the receivers have played lately, Kirk's coming off a big game for the Texans, right? Huge. Higgins is really coming along. Nico is Nico. Noel, we've seen him make some big plays. You have X making big plays. You have playmakers all over the place. They're spreading the ball around. This is what you want to see. My sleeper is... He's hardly a sleeper on the roster. It's Azeez Al-Shire. But Azeez, in this way, Johnny, Azeez getting a takeaway. He's had his hands on the ball a lot lately. Unable to haul in picks. He will find a way. He wants to find a way. I believe he will find a way to have a big impact in this one. He always has an impact with this defense, number one defense in the league in yards allowed. But Azeez, maybe an extra special game for him against Indy.
I'm going to give you one of the – obviously every player's got a to-do list.
Yep.
I think one of the to-do list items for Azeez is making sure that his running partner, EJ Speed, just keep the emotions in check. EJ's going against a team that drafted him, that he played for a long time. He's going to he's going to have to keep EJ. And EJ's pretty level-headed, but still in a game where you're facing your former team, you want to make every play possible. Azeez is going to have to be that captain and say, hey, man, we're good. Just take a breath.
Let me go off.
Just remind him of that throughout the game. Stay focused, make your plays. Don't try and do too much against your former team. So I think that's where Captain Azeez is going to have to step up.
Both teams want this and need this so badly. It is a huge outing. Texans and Colts Sunday at noon. Go Texans.